the market gets what the market wants. All of you, well, at least most of you want SUVs, and that is what Maruti Suzuki is delivering. More and more SUVs. This is the Fronx. It's no secret that it is based on the Baleno, but a lot of the body panels are new and it can do all of this. The wheel articulation stuff. Now, I don't know why you would do this with what is a front wheel drive, SUV, cross hatch, big hatchback, whatever you want to call the Fronx, but it can do this. Though, that said, before we hit the off-road trails proper, we are going to go on the road with the manual gearbox and the Boosterjet turbo petrol engine and tell you what the Fronx is like to drive and if it is fun to drive. Maruti Suzuki is making a big song and dance about the Fronx being an SUV. But what really interests us about the Fronx is what's under the hood. This now gets the Boosterjet engine. The turbo petrol engine is back in Maruti Suzuki's arsenal. We saw this engine earlier in the Baleno RS, but that model didn't really take off and the engine and the model was axed. But now it is back, and even more importantly, this Boosterjet engine is now locally manufactured. Earlier, it was imported in the RS. Now it is locally manufactured, and that will make it price competitive. So the Fronx with the turbo petrol engine should now be a good buy in terms of pricing. It will be a good buy in terms of fuel efficiency because it now gets the mild hybrid technology that moves up the fuel efficiency. So this engine, it now delivers 21.5 kmpl with the manual gearbox and 20.05 kmpl with the 6-speed automatic transmission. It gets the 6-speed automatic. We are driving the manual because obviously that is the most enthusiastic variant in the model lineup of the Fronx. And of course, you get power. 99.2 bhp, 147 Newton meters of torque, and the car is light. With the Boosterjet engine, the car, it tips the scales at just over a ton, 1030 to 1060 kilos. So that means you should get 0 to 100 in just about 10 seconds. It puts it up there with the class benchmarks, and overall to drive, the Fronx is enthusiastic. It's light, it's agile, it feels enthusiastic. The way the engine revs, it is hungry for revs, it likes to rev. It really plugs you into the driving experience. You can heel toe, the gear shift is slick, it's precise, the control weights are sorted. It feels like a light, small, agile Japanese car. All Maruti Suzukis felt like that, but they all lacked power. The 1.2 naturally aspirated engine, for all its smoothness, it just couldn't deliver enthusiasm. It didn't have enough grunt. Now, with the Boosterjet, grunt is sorted. There's a good amount of bottom end torque. You can stick it into second, stick it into third, ride the torque curve. The platform is also now responsive. So when the Baleno was updated, it was more than just a facelift. The suspension, the underpinnings were significantly upgraded. It became more robust. It could take bad roads well. It could go over potholes and speed breakers well without crashing audibly. The steering was sorted out. It's still light, but it's not uncomfortably light. There is a bit of feel to it. And when you chuck it around, it puts a smile on your face. I really like it. I like it far more than I expected to. I like it much more than the name suggests I should like it, because Fronx, the name, I don't like it. We are back at the dirt playground. There are 5 tracks laid out for us where we are going to go full send in the Fronx. We are swapping cars, but this is still the manual transmission with the Boosterjet engine, and we are going to head out and do some hashtag Fronxing. The first thing we do on the dirt playground Maruti Suzuki has laid out for us is the acceleration and direction change while braking in the box.
There is also a slalom course, and on gravel, of course, you get a lot of wheel spin. But this exercise helps us get a feel for the Fronx's agility and the eagerness of the steering response. We then do the axle twister, which, let's be honest about it, is not something you will or should be attempting on any front-wheel drive vehicle like this. But it does reveal one aspect.
Maruti Suzuki claims that the torsional rigidity of the body is slightly different from the Baleno because the panels are new, all of them are different. And with this, with one wheel up in the air, which is actually twisting the body, you can open and close the doors, no problem. And that just shows the rigidity, torsional rigidity of the monocoque.
And then we hit the autocross track. But before that, a backstory. 5 years ago, when we had the Baleno RS on the Evo India long-term test fleet, I took part in the Maruti Suzuki Autoprix when it came down to Pune. It was my first go at an autocross after probably 15 years, and I was rusty. But the Baleno RS with the Boosterjet engine was so quick, so agile, and so responsive that I set the second fastest time of the event, bested only by a works Maruti Suzuki motorsport driver who was driving this same Baleno RS. And now, here I am, back at an autocross with the Fronx, complete with the same Boosterjet engine. And I'm immediately reminded of that Baleno RS. The Fronx's platform is of course adapted from the Baleno, complete with all the structural rigidity and steering improvements that were applied when the Baleno was updated last year. And it all comes together beautifully. The light structure, the terrific steering response, the enthusiasm with which the front end changes direction, and the proper slug of turbocharged torque, it makes the Fronx an unlikely autocross champion. Yanking the handbrake, sliding the car around, I set a time of 55 seconds that remained unbeaten throughout the entire event. With the Fronx, Maruti Suzuki can definitely get back into Indian motorsport.
Now let's be clear about it. Nobody is going to do all of this with the Fronx. This is front-wheel drive. You can call it an SUV, but ultimately this is front-wheel drive, and nobody is going to be doing off-roading with a front-wheel drive vehicle. But it can do it. More importantly, what we've learned, especially out there on the autocross track, is that this is great fun to throw around. It is responsive, it is quick, it is agile. The chassis is that old school Maruti Suzuki chassis, those fun to drive cars that we knew and loved. This delivers on that, this delivers on performance. Even on the road, it is good fun to drive. Also, it is more tractable because of the turbocharged torque. In fact, power, torque, it makes everything better, and the Boosterjet engine has made the Fronx really good. I did not expect the Fronx to be this good, but this has really impressed me. Maybe the next autocross, I'll do it with the Fronx.